Hey everybody, it's Eliza with the Organic South. I just wanted to take 2 minutes to go live really quick to share some amazing information with you today that I was able to share on a podcast. So excited to be talking about wellness in the entrepreneurial space, especially as I've entered that space and learning how to make sure that I'm well as I create a wellness business is super important because you have to live it. So I was able to talk on Jay Massey's podcast today about how entrepreneurs can be more well. And we can certainly apply this to those of us that are not entrepreneurs. That's okay too. It's super important. So what we were talking about is how important it is when you're an entrepreneur that you are your biggest asset. And even if you're not starting your own business, if you're working and wanting to have occupational wellness, you have to consider yourself as your biggest asset. It's just super important. So all the things that flow out of us, creativity, productivity, this is so important to impacting those around us that we want to impact in a positive way. This could even be your family if you're not an entrepreneur. And so the 6 ways that I talked about today on this podcast about having wellness if you're an entrepreneur and how to pour back into your greatest asset is, and we always talk about eating clean, eating well, right? But some of us are so unaware of some of the chemicals and the toxins that are put in our food that actually slow down our neuronal processing. It actually makes us foggier. So food is your number one way to make sure that you as an entrepreneur are making yourself your biggest asset. Mental clarity. So staying away from chemicals in our food like aspartame and artificial dyes, and making sure that you're eating whole, healthy, organic foods that are filling your gas tank. So many of us would love to have more productivity in our business. And when we connect it to productivity in our business, we might consider thinking about food differently if we're filling our gas tank with more healthy fuel. So think about it that way. Then maybe changing your nutrition just a little bit could double your business revenue by next year if you were pouring good things into yourself and your brain was actually functioning better. Second, clear out the toxins. For goodness sakes, we are inundated with all kinds of toxic chemicals on a daily basis. We are on average exposed to 168 chemicals a day on our body. So one great thing that I did that I talked about on the podcast today as a guest was I did it over a year. I didn't look at this as super overwhelming. I have to detox my whole home today. I did it over a year. So every month I took one product in my home that when I looked it up on that ewg.org, I was like, oh, this looks pretty toxic. Probably not good for my body. I did one product every month. Hand soap, number 1. Okay, starting in January, I'm going to change out my hand soap to something that was non-toxic. I love the doTERRA On Guard hand soap that we use. It's amazing. Cleaning products. Okay, I'm going to take all of my cleaning products and simplify it down to 1. Love the doTERRA On Guard Cleaner Concentrate. A super important thing for us because if we're inhaling chemicals, our brain doesn't function well, and it can cause us all kinds of negative symptoms and side effects. Headaches, nausea. We don't want that, especially if we're trying to be an entrepreneur and grow our business. We need to be well. Number 3, get some physical activity. This is super important. And when I talk about this, I'm not talking about going to the gym. I'm not talking about that feeling that you have like, oh, I have to go and exercise. I have to make time for this in my day. No, just be active. My kid was going to camp this morning. I could have driven him there, but I decided to walk. So I got up a little bit earlier and walked him to camp. I park at the end of the parking lots instead of at the beginning. I do things throughout my day. Spontaneously, I might, while my kid is napping, just do 3 sets of push-ups. So I'm incorporating it into my day. It doesn't feel like this extra effort, like I have to get up early and work out. I'm constantly staying active. And one thing I do as an entrepreneur that is super, super important is when I'm sitting down to work, I work in blocks of time. So now if I am producing a lot and I feel really into something and I'm working for a couple hours at a time, that's great, go with that. But I never ignore myself if I need to eat, and I always try and work in blocks of time. So I work in 30 minutes to hour blocks of time, and then I go take a quick walk around the lake. And they have proven that you're more creative when you do that. So that's an amazing way to make sure you're getting physical activity throughout the day and you're clearing your mind. Number 4, I use essential oils. This is such an untapped avenue for entrepreneurs or people that are in the workspace. Y'all, they have proven that by smells and aromas, we can be more motivated, we can be happier, we can use them medicinally in our lives for all kinds of stress and tension in the head and neck. So use essential oils. My favorite essential oils are doTERRA because they are absolutely 110% committed to quality therapeutic grade essential oils. And I love educating people on them. If you are on the Organic South a lot, you see that I do that a lot and post a lot about essential oils. But they can help with your productivity, mental clarity. It's proven to activate parts of our brain by smelling certain aromas. So fantastic to diffuse at your desk when you're working, and to when you need to relieve stress as an entrepreneur in your business, to use different types of blends that we know help relieve stress, especially for that muscle tension that creeps up in our neck. Peppermint is wonderful for that. Frankincense is fantastic for that head and neck tension. I love to use peppermint and a citrus oil while I'm working at my desk, just to give me that kind of uplifting feeling. So if you have not used essential oils and you're an entrepreneur, you need to contact me immediately and I will help you get started. It's super, super important to helping you be more productive. Number 5, get better sleep. I know this is easier said than done, especially for people like me that have a 2-year-old that likes to wake up. You have to get better sleep though. This is when our body recharges, gets rid of all the garbage, and we can start anew. And one way, using essential oils is a great way to actually help you sleep better. They've proven that aromas help us get a deeper, more restful sleep and help us be more relaxed. That's a fantastic way. Figure out whether you're a morning lark or an evening person. This is super important. Our cortisol rises and falls throughout the day, and it's different for different people. So some of us function and work better at night and don't like to get up early. And some of us like to go to bed early and love to get up early in the morning, and we function better in that way. So try and figure out where you fall and don't fight against that. Lean into that. And if you do your best work at night, then know that and make your schedule around that time. And, sleep from 11 to 7, sleep from 11 to 6, whatever you have to do to kind of make yourself more productive. And then number 6 is relieve the stress. This is so, so important for those of us that are in the entrepreneurial space. We feel a lot of stress to produce and create and grow our business, and it ends up with unintended consequences. Stress presses our immune system, can just make us very, very, very unhealthy. So some of the ways that I love to reduce stress as an entrepreneur is I just shut it off. Shut it off for 28 to 48 hours. Don't think about it. That's hard to do when you own your own business because you want to be constantly engaged, but I force myself to do that. I love to use various tree oils to help relieve stress. That's been proven. Lavender is a fantastic oil to use to relieve stress. So I love to use that even throughout the day, in a bath at night, and I do lots of self-care to relieve stress. I force myself to schedule massages. I force myself to do self-care because I'm not always great at that. But that is super important to relieve stress. Try and figure out what works for you and what makes you feel relaxed. If you know a certain activity makes you feel relaxed, you've got to incorporate that into your schedule as an entrepreneur, so you're making sure that you relieve tension and stress throughout the day. Remember that daily stress builds up into disease over a period of decades. So we as entrepreneurs do not want to have added stress in our life. Even for those of us that are not entrepreneurs, you don't want that. So find little ways to relieve stress. Go for a walk. Use a certain oil that appeals to you that you love. Diffuse it. Rub it on your neck. Do an activity that you love. Get a coloring book. They say that stress is relieved through coloring. Order an adult coloring book and start coloring. Do something that at the end of the day kind of unwinds you and helps you relieve any tension that you've had. Those are my 6 quick tips today for entrepreneurs on how to be more well. Some of them that I shared today as a guest on Jay Messie's podcast, which was so super exciting. So I can't wait to share that with you guys once it's released. And I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic day.